Feel free to chat the whole group chat or just me if you have any questions throughout class or anything at all. But let's get started. So you're going to start in a comfortable seated position, whatever is best for you. You can sit with your legs cross-legged, or you can extend your legs out in front of you or out to the side, whatever works best for you. Maybe you close your eyes, or you find a soft gaze on something in front of you in your room, or if you're outside, something in front of you outside. And we're going to begin this class the way we begin all of my classes, by bringing some awareness to the breath. And the most important thing to know about this class and any of the classes I teach is that I'm hoping that this is the space where you're going to put yourself first. And I hope that's what you're doing by coming to class today. And that also means that my words, they're suggestions, they're not mandates. I'd like you to go where your body would like to go today. On that note, just breathing in and out through the nose. I don't want you to change anything about your breath, not yet. I definitely don't want you to judge your breath for how it feels today. I just want you to notice it. What does it feel like today? Maybe the length of your inhales feels a lot longer than the length of your exhales. Maybe the opposite is true. Either way, you're just going to say to yourself, I am inhaling as you inhale through the nose, and I am exhaling as you exhale through the nose. If you're having a little bit of difficulty just finding that breath and sticking with it, I'd invite you to put one hand over the heart and the other one over your belly button. And you can actually feel how the breath moves through the body. You'll feel the chest rise, and you'll feel the body push into the hand over the belly button. And then you'll feel them both come back to where they started. I want you to come to an even place with your breath, where the length of your inhales feels like it matches the length of your exhales. Maybe that means you have to lengthen the exhales longer than feels natural. That's okay. It's also okay if this feels pretty strange to the body so far. Hopefully that will change by the time that we're done. And for just a moment, just to sort of ground ourselves where we're at today in our surroundings, because they're all going to look very different because we're all at home. If our eyes are closed, maybe we blink them open very gently. And without really thinking about it, I just want you to find 3 things that you can see in front of you right now. Just name each one of those things in your mind, and then take a deep inhale through the nose and a deep exhale through the nose. Next, I want you to pick 2 things that you can feel right now. So maybe you can feel your mat and the ground that you're practicing on. Maybe you can feel the air and how cold or warm it is. Name those 2 things you can feel. And take another deep inhale through the nose. And a deep exhale through the nose, still trying to keep an even breath. And then lastly, I want you to pick one thing that you can hear other than the sound of my voice. So if you're following along on our playlist, it could be that, or it could be the air or the wind, or your little brother practicing drums in the next room, whatever works. But once you've named that one thing, take another deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Come back to normal breath. We focus on our breath to give us a little bit of an out, so we don't have to focus on all of the thoughts in our head. That doesn't mean they're going to stop. It just means we don't have to focus on them. To help with this too, maybe you want to set an intention for today's class. An intention could be a mantra. It could be the reason you're stepping onto your mat today. But it's anything you're going to draw some energy from today. Visualize whatever that intention is and take a deep inhale through the nose into it. And if you can't think of an intention, don't worry. You're more than welcome to join me in my intention, which today it is not weakness to struggle. Maybe you bring some gentle movement to the body, begin to make some small circles with the wrists, or you tap your fingertips to your thumb and back again. Maybe you inhale those shoulders up towards the ears and exhale them down and out the spine, shaking them out a little bit. And then coming to a seated position with your legs crossed in front of you, wherever you're at. I want you to inhale to find that length in the spine, crown of the head reaches toward the ceiling, but you're gonna exhale those shoulders down and out from the ears, and the hands are gonna rest right here on the shins in front of you. And you're at a nice neutral spine here. On your inhale, I just want you to begin to lift that heart up towards the sky, and the gaze goes up. If you're inside, maybe just to where the wall meets the ceiling. And on your exhale, you're gonna round the spine, and the belly button is gonna come back towards the other side of your mat, and the shoulders come down towards the knees. And inhale, that belly button comes forward, the heart rises into our seated cow. And we're gonna exhale back to our seated cat. And I want you to find this at your own pace here for 3 more breath cycles. And you can exaggerate the movements as you'd like. In the seated cat and cow, our sits bones stay planted on the mat, but it feels like we're just creating a bowl in front of us and just moving the bowl as we tilt. And then coming back to seated in stillness whenever you're done. You're gonna move so the soles of your feet come together in front of you on your mat in our Baddha Konasana or our bound angle. Now the closer your feet are to your body, the harsher the stretch is gonna feel on your hip flexors and the outside of your hips. So whatever makes more sense for your body today. But I want you to inhale to find that length in the spine, crown of the head reaches toward the ceiling. On your exhale, the heart is what's gonna guide the movement forward, and you're gonna honor that space between the chin and the chest and keep the gaze lifted as you fold. And maybe once you folded, you find that you want your feet closer to or further away from the body, so you make those adjustments for yourself. And I want you to find stillness where your body naturally wants to pause. And pause there. Maybe you begin to tuck the chin towards the chest very slightly, rounding that spine. Noticing if that changes the stretch dramatically. For some people it doesn't, and for some it does. Inhaling the gaze back up towards the toes. On your exhale, just as slowly as we fold, we're gonna come back. Slide the hands underneath the knees, close them, kind of like a book. You can windshield wiper them from side to side. And then however is most comfortable for you to come to your hands and your knees in a tabletop position, that's where we're headed next. So you will know that you are in your very best tabletop position when your wrists are stacked right underneath your shoulders, your knees are stacked right underneath your hips. And if you take a peek through your legs, you shouldn't be able to see your feet. That way, everything feels like it's in line. And if our wrists are really uncomfortable, let's come down to the forearms and just replace the wrists with our elbows. It's the exact same thing here. So wherever you're at today, and we're gonna take some natural cat and cow here. So when you inhale, let that belly button come down towards the ground, the gaze lifts. On your exhale, I want you to push the mat away. It's like a string, it's pulling the belly button up towards the ceiling. And again, find this at your own pace for 3 full cycles. We can exaggerate it as we like, move the hips and the shoulders, but I want you to move with that even breath that we started with. We're gonna come back to it throughout class, and that's our real challenge, is to stay focused on our breath, even as we move. And then coming back to stillness in the center, pausing here, I want you to begin to activate your core. So you're gonna do this by imagining that you're gonna pull your wrists and your knees together on your mat, like you're trying to create a wrinkle right here in the middle of it. Feel the belly button tuck up and slightly back. We've activated our core. And then you're gonna inhale and just float that right foot up, toes point down towards the ground. If you're here today, that's incredible. Maybe you wanna inhale that left arm out in front, almost like a teeter-totter. And maybe you wanna exhale and curl the elbow to meet the knee in the middle and extend back out. And exhale to curl and inhale back out. And last time we're gonna exhale and we're gonna curl and hold for 3, 2, 1. Extend back out. Let's float that hand and that knee back down towards the mat. I want you to flip that right palm so our fingertips face towards our knees when we're on the mat, and just bring each fingertip to the thumb and back again. Shaking that wrist out before you replace it on the mat, and we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. So I want you to inhale, float that left foot up, toes point down towards the ground. If you're here today, that's amazing. Maybe we stay here. Maybe we inhale and float that right hand out in front of us, and maybe we wanna curl that elbow to meet the knee and extend back out. And exhale to curl and inhale back out. And last time we're gonna exhale, curl and hold for 3, 2, 1. Extend back out. Float that hand, that knee back to the mat. Same thing on this side. Let's flip the left palm, bring each fingertip to the thumb and back again. Shake that hand out. And then spreading your fingertips wide on your mat where they're at, really pressing into the pads of your palm and the L that comes in between your index finger and your thumb. On an inhale, we're gonna tuck the toes. On an exhale, we're gonna lift the hips up and back for your first downward dog of class. Now I want you to be very kind to your body. So maybe you take the dog for a little bit of a walk. You bend one knee and then the other, sinking the heels towards the mat. Maybe you just bring both knees to hover about 2 inches off the mat in a floating child's pose, and then extend back up. Fabulous. And then I want you to inhale the gaze in between the hands. As you exhale, I want you to take the slowest walk with as many steps possible to meet them in a forward fold at the top of your mat. Again, this forward fold, let's have a generous bend in the knees because we're trying to get the heart as close to the thighs and the knees as we can here. Maybe you take the opportunity to grasp opposite elbows, create a basket for the head, sway the spine side to side. Maybe you tiptoe your fingertips to the left and to the right. You can gently shake your head no and nod it yes. Finding a little bit of comfort here. We'll come back. And then coming back to stillness wherever you're at. First, I want you to inhale for a halfway lift. So you're gonna inhale, trace the fingertips up the shins until we pause in a nice tabletop back here. And then exhale all the way back down. And then this time you're gonna inhale, the knees come wide, the arms come wider. You're gonna scoop the air all the way up. Inhale all the way up. And I'm gonna squat so you can see me, but you're gonna exhale, pull those hands down the midline and open them up to the sides of the body in your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Take a peek down at your feet for me. I want you to rock onto your toes, onto your heels, onto the sides of the feet, and really build the foundation that feels unmovable to you. You are a mountain. You stay steady. Fabulous. And once you've done that, I want you to come back to your breath for a minute. Notice if we're still at that even breath or if we've left it. Regardless, I want you to inhale those arms up and exhale with a nice flat back down to that forward fold. Inhale for that halfway lift, only if it makes you happy. Exhale back down. Fingertips come to tent on the mat. You're going to step back with the left foot and then the right foot directly to a plank position. Option for your first Vinyasa flow of class if you'd love to take one. If you want to flow together, let's bring our knees to the ground, untuck the toes, keeping the elbows as close to the body as we can. We're going to lower all the way down to the mat until we can rest our cheek or our forehead on our mat. And then pressing the tops of your feet into the mat. Feel the kneecaps lift, the feet stay on the ground. No weight in the fingertips as you inhale, just the shoulders and the fingertips off. You give me a little wave. Exhale back down. On an inhale, I want you to tuck the toes. Exhale, press the body up and back to your downward dog. Fabulous. Inhale, float that right leg high to the sky for me. Maybe you want to stack those hips and bend that knee and open up to the side. Maybe you can see that right foot in between the left hand and the left foot. Re-squaring those hips back down towards the mat. Straighten that leg out. I want you to inhale the gaze between the hands first. Exhale as gently and as softly as you can. You're going to step that right foot forward towards that right thumb. Beautiful. Let's bring the left knee down, left toes untuck. We have several options. Our hands can stay here, or our hands can inhale right here to the quad, or they can come overhead. And I know you can't see my overhead, but if your arms are going to float overhead, I want you to imagine that you're holding a beach ball in between your arms to keep those shoulders down and out from the ears. Beautiful. No matter where you are, look at your knee. It's right over top or slightly behind that ankle. We're not going over towards the toes. And I just want you to breathe. Two more breaths here. And on that next exhale, pour those hands back down to frame that front foot. Inhale, tuck the back toes, lift that back knee. You're going to float that right leg high to the sky and down to meet the left. Another option for a Vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. If you want to flow together, let's inhale forward towards that plank position. Exhale all the way down again. Press the tops of your feet into the mat. Feel the kneecaps lift. Inhale, gentle weight in the fingertips this time. Exhale back down. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, press the body up and back to your downward dog. Everyone's doing amazing. Inhale, float that left leg high to the sky. Same thing on this side. Maybe you want to stack those hips, bend that knee. Maybe you can see that left foot in between the right hand, the right foot. Re-squaring those hips to the mat, straightening that leg out. I want you to inhale the gaze between the hands first. Exhale, step that foot forward towards that left thumb. Right knee comes down, the right toes untuck. Same options. Maybe we stay here on this side. Maybe we inhale the hands to the quad. Maybe we inhale the arms overhead. Maybe what felt great on the other side does not feel that great on this side. So you find what does. And I just want you to breathe. If our hands are still on the ground here, I want your heart lifted forward and the gaze forward as well. And we're just going to focus on our breath for 2 more breath cycles. See if you can stick with that even breath. On that next exhale, I want you to tuck the back toes. Let's bring the hands to the ground. Let's tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and we're going to float that left leg high to the sky and back down to meet the right. Another option for a Vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. You can take any of the options we've had so far, including cat and cow, or you can inhale forward with me. Exhale either all the way or halfway. Inhale up into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale back to your downward facing dog. And then we're all going to meet in a child's pose, bringing the knees to the ground, untucking the toes and the hips over the heels. Let the elbows come to rest on the mat. And just relax. Child's pose should be the place of ultimate restoration for you. So you're welcome to come here at any point in practice today, especially during our Vinyasa flows. You're also welcome to come to a different place if this is not the most comfortable place for your body. I'd like you to go there instead. But every time we're here, we're going to take the opportunity to reconnect with our breath. So come back to that even breath we started with. See if you can find it again. And maybe it feels a little different already, and that's okay. Come back to that intention if you set one. If you're joining me in my intention today, just a reminder, it is not weakness to struggle, was my intention today. Take 2 more breath cycles wherever you're at. I'm going to adjust the camera just a little bit. So we're going to come to standing. Okay. So when you are ready, on an inhale, you're just going to come back to that tabletop position that we all started with. Maybe you take a round or 2 of cat and cow while you're here. Move with your breath. And when you're really ready, on an inhale, you're going to tuck the toes. On an exhale, you're going to lift the hips up and back for that downward dog. Inhale the gaze between the hands. Exhale, let's take another walk to meet them at the top of our mat in that forward fold. Generous bend to the knees still. That's not going to change throughout all of class today. Fabulous. If you want, you can inhale for that halfway lift, pause and tabletop back, and exhale back down. And then all of us are going to inhale, those knees come wide, those arms come wider, scoop that air all the way up and pull it down. All right, I'm going to move just a little bit so you can see me for this one. I want you to come back down to your feet. So take a peek down at your feet. Maybe you take a little hop. You see where the toes like to land. You rock onto the toes, the heels, the sides of the feet, and you build that foundation that we started with. And once you feel comfortable there, I want you to inhale those arms up and exhale, sink down and back into chair pose or Utkatasana. So your weight has shifted back into your heels. Your toes could wave at me. I know you can't see my toes. And your shift just goes all the way down. Your tailbone tucks slightly under as if you're going to sit in a chair. Arms can stay here or arms can float overhead, whatever is most comfortable for you. And you guessed it, I just want you to breathe. Try to keep that heart lifted. And on your next exhale, you're going to pour forward directly into that forward fold. Option to inhale for that halfway lift if it makes you feel good. And exhale back down. And then fingertips tenting on the mat. I want you to peel that right foot off and step it back to a lunge. Same options we had on this side. So we can stay with our hands on the ground or we can inhale those arms up. Either all the way or right here to heart center. And I just want you to breathe. You can even get a little dynamic with it. You can inhale, straighten that front leg. Exhale it back down. But take a peek at your front knee. It's over top or behind that ankle. We're not going over towards the toes still. One more time. Let's inhale, straighten that front leg. Exhale it back down. This next time on your exhale, if our hands are up, let's pour them down to frame that front foot again. And we're going to step that left foot back directly to your plank position. Option to take a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Remember that cat and cow and child's pose are beautiful options. I want you to move with your breath, whatever you do. We're all going to meet in a downward dog whenever you're ready. From here, you know exactly where we're going. There are no surprises. Inhale to gaze between the hands. Exhale, walk to meet them at the top of your mat. Take a moment to pause here in this forward fold. Maybe you tiptoe your fingertips to the left, to the right. Maybe you create that basket for the head and sway the spine. Everyone's doing great. When you're ready, coming back to stillness, maybe you inhale for that halfway lift. You pause in that tabletop back. Our backs are so flat, we could eat dinner off of them. Exhale back down. This time, if you have no spine or neck concerns, I want you to tuck your chin in towards that chest and inhale. You're gonna roll the spine up one vertebrae at a time. If this doesn't speak to you, of course, I want you to inhale those arms wide and come all the way up. And we're all gonna meet in standing, where you can't see me again. Once you're from standing, build that foundation, come back to your Tadasana. You know exactly where we're headed next. Rock onto the toes, the heels. And when you are ready, I want you to inhale those arms overhead. Exhale, sink down and back into that Utkatasana, your chair pose. Your weight is in your heels, your toes could wave at me. Heart is lifted. And I just want you to breathe. On your next exhale, pour forward directly into that forward fold for me. Inhale for that halfway lift if it makes you feel good. Exhale back down. Fingertips gonna tent on the mat. You're gonna peel that left foot off and step it back this time. Opposite one that we just did. Let's keep our back knee off the ground. Our hands can stay here or our hands can inhale up. Wherever they're at. We still picture that we have that beach ball in our hands to keep our shoulders down and out from the ears wherever you're at. And I just want you to focus on your breath. That knee right over top or behind that front ankle. Maybe you inhale, straighten that front leg a little bit. Exhale back down. Inhale to straighten. Exhale back down. Inhale. On your next exhale, pour those hands forward to frame that front foot. Step that right foot back to your plank position. Option for a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. We're all gonna meet in a child's pose. Maybe you make this one wide-legged. The big toes come together and the knees come wide and you sink back. And you rest. And you take water when you need to. I don't tend to cue water breaks, so whenever you need some, take some. And come back to your breath. So if we've left that even breath that we started with, which I for sure have, let's come back to it now. Come back to that intention if you set one. Draw some more energy from it. And focus all of your attention just on your breath right now. Two more breaths here. Direct your breath to places that feel pressure. Inhale to create space in them. Exhale to relieve that tension. Could be the shoulders or the hips. But when your body is ready, and not a second before, I want you to inhale back up to that tabletop position. Maybe you take a round or two of cat and cow when you're here, if that feels great to you. And when you're ready, on an inhale, let's tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back for a downward dog. I want you to take a slow motion flow, a slow-mo flow now. So you're gonna inhale very slowly forward. Exhale either all the way down or halfway. Inhale up to cobra or upward facing dog. And Exhale, just a slow back to downward dog. And then inhaling the gaze between the hands. I want you to look where you're going. Exhale, we can walk to meet them or we can float to the top of our mat. From this forward fold, maybe you inhale for that halfway lift off of the heart. Exhale back down when you're ready. And then however you want to come to standing, if you want to tuck your chin and roll, or if you want to inhale those arms wide and scoop the air all the way up, whatever works for you. And bring the arms back down to your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Maybe you take that little hop again, or you rock onto the toes and the heels. You build that foundation because we're going to start to balance just a little bit. Inhaling those arms overhead. Exhale, sink the body back down to your Utkatasana, or your chair pose. Hips go down and back. The weight is in the heels here. And we're going to begin to move just a little bit. So on your inhale, I want you to rock forward completely onto the toes. Lift the heels off the mat. Exhale, sink back onto the heels. Inhale forward, lift the heels. Exhale back off the toes. One more time. Inhale forward, pause, maybe lift. Exhale back. Now draw the hands in, and I want you to look in front of you and find something that is not moving, a drishti, a non-moving focal point. Focus on it. I want you to breathe. And on your next exhale, bring all your weight to bear on that left foot. Peel the right heel off. And with grace and ease, you're just going to step back to that lunge. Beautiful. Everyone who I can see who did that beautifully. Now, I want you to pivot that back heel towards the mat at about a 45-degree angle. So our right toes still pointed up towards the top right-hand corner of our mat. So maybe you take half a step in and half a step out, and you see how that feels. We're coming towards that warrior one here. So we're trying to keep our hips close to the front of our mat. We're not opening them up to the side here. And our hands can inhale up, still holding that beach ball, or they can stay right here. And you guessed it, you're just gonna breathe. That front knee is over top of that ankle or behind it. Everyone's doing beautifully. Maybe we all bring our hands up and we exhale, pull the elbows back behind the chest, open that heart up to the ceiling. Maybe you grasp both hands behind the body, open that heart up even more, and exhale, pour that heart forward to the inside of that front knee. And release those hands whenever you're ready. And then hands come back to the mat, and I want you to step forward, back to that forward fold. I know everyone did so wonderfully with that. Inhale for that halfway lift. Exhale back down. Option to stay here or option to take a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one, planting your hands, stepping back the left foot and then the right, and then doing anything to reset that spine and that energy. Move with your breath. And we're all gonna be back in that forward fold whenever you're ready. Beautiful float, Riley. I can see some of you, that was awesome. All right, so in this forward fold, maybe you inhale for that halfway lift, you offer that heart up, and you exhale back down. And again, however you wanna come to standing, if you wanna tuck your chin and roll, if you wanna inhale those arms wide, scoop the air all the way up, and come up. Pull that air down to your Tadasana. You know exactly where we're headed on this side. I'm not changing anything, no surprises. So if you wanna take yourself there, feel free. Build your foundation first. Feel really solid on your feet. And when you're ready, I want you to inhale those arms up. Exhale, sink down and back into that Utkatasana, your chair pose. Your weight is in your heels, your toes could wave at me. Same thing on this side. Let's inhale forward, rock onto those toes now. Lift the heels up. Exhale, sink back onto the heels. Inhale, forward toes. Exhale, back onto the heels. Last time, inhale forward onto the toes. Maybe you lift up. Exhale, back onto the heels. Beautiful. Pull the arms in. Find a drishti and non-moving focal point. Bring your weight to bear on that right foot this time and float that left foot back. From this lunge, I want you to pivot that back heel towards the mat and then maybe step in a little bit. We're coming back to our warrior one on this side. So however that's gonna feel most comfortable in your body. Maybe our feet are about here and this is our warrior one. That is beautiful. Maybe our feet are back here. Maybe our feet are wider than our mat. Whatever, it works for you. And I just want you to breathe. Everyone looks beautiful. And then let's all inhale those arms up. Exhale, pull the elbows down. Like we're coming to goalpost arms. We're lifting that heart up. And then maybe you clasp the arms behind the body. Open that heart even more. And exhale, pour forward to the inside of that front leg. And release those hands whenever you're ready. Hands come back to the mat. You're going to step forward, back to that forward fold. Woo. Inhale for that halfway lift. Exhale back down. Fingertips going to touch on the mat. You're going to step back with the right foot and then the left. Option to take a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. We're all going to meet in child's pose when you're ready. Maybe the hands come back behind the body in child's pose. Maybe you get some water, but I want you to come back to your breath. So hopefully our breath feels a little bit different when we first step onto our mat today. Maybe it doesn't, and that's okay. But now I want you to find something in the body, in this child's pose, that feels awesome. And I want you to breathe into whatever that is and congratulate it. Give it a little hug, and then exhale out of it. Now I want you to find the part in the body that has built up the most heat or the most pressure through our flow today. For me, I'm inhaling into those quads, giving them a little hug, celebrating them, and exhaling them, letting them go. Bring that breath back to an even place. We have one more place to go with our flow before we begin to cool the body down, to relax it. So when you're ready and your breath is like, yeah, we can do this, one more. I just want you to inhale up to that tabletop position. Maybe you take a round or two of cat and cow here. Maybe if your breath doesn't feel great in cat and cow, you flip the breath cues. So you inhale the belly button up and exhale it down. Maybe that feels better to you. Maybe the regular one feels better to you, whichever one works. Take 2 more rounds wherever you're at. Remembering that our wrists, if our wrists aren't comfortable, we can come down to the forearms. And coming back to stillness whenever you're ready. On an inhale, you're going to tuck the toes. On an exhale, you're going to lift the body up and back for downward dog. And then I want you to take the flow of your choice. Inhale forward, exhale down, and inhale up. And then you're going to exhale back to that downward dog. Inhaling our gaze between our hands. Exhale, float or walk to meet them at the top of your mat in that forward fold. Oh, some beautiful floats, some beautiful walks. Inhale for that halfway lift, offer that heart up. Exhale back down. And again, however you want to come to standing, if you want to tuck your chin and roll, if you want to inhale those arms, come wide, you scoop the air all the way up, all the way up. Exhale, pull those hands down the midline. Open them up. You're in your Tadasana, your mountain pose. This last one is going to be a balance challenge. So we build our foundation exactly how we know how. So maybe you take that little hop, you come onto the toes, you come onto the heels, the sides of the feet. You build your foundation, and we have a soft bend in the knees. We're never gonna lock our knees out, soft bend in them. And then I want you to look in front of you, somewhere in front of you in your room, and find that drishti, that non-moving focal point. Find whatever that is for you. If it worked last time, pick the same thing. If it didn't, pick something else. And I want you to focus on that. And on your next inhale, you're just gonna bring all of your weight to bear on that left foot. Right heel peels off the mat. We're still on those right toes. And then just like a puppet on a string, you're gonna inhale that right knee up till it's level with your hip and flex through that bottom foot, that right foot. Hands can be here or hands can be at heart center. And very gently, I want you to move in slow motion with your breath. You're gonna begin to bring that right heel back behind you as if you're slow motion kicking into a wall and the body comes down to counterbalance it. And we're in our warrior three. So the hands can stay here, or they can float out in front of you, to the side, behind you, whatever works best. If you're wobbling, it means that you're working, and we love to see that. Focus on your breath, engage your core, trust the body. And on your next inhale, I want you to bring that knee back up to where it started, in line with the hip. And then float it down to the ground. Ooh. And shake it out a little bit. Oh, how did that feel? Pretty good? Okay? So we have one more side to go. And you know exactly where we're headed. No surprises. So whenever you're ready, feel free to take yourself there. Build your foundation first. Find your drishti, your non-moving focal point. Inhale, that left heel comes off the mat. We're just on those left toes. And then just like a puppet on a string, that left knee is gonna come up till it's about level with that left hip. And then you're slow motion gonna kick back into an imaginary wall behind you. Whew. And if that right ankle is wobbling, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Let it wobble. Trust the body. Everyone looks great. Hands can float at heart center. They can float out to the side, out in front of you, out back behind you. Use your breath. Engage your core. And when you're ready, on your next inhale, I want you to bring that left knee back up to level with the hip. Whew. Float it down and then shake it out. Props to everybody, especially who's doing this on carpet. That does not make for the most stable ground. Everyone did beautifully. Inhale those arms up for me. Maybe you come onto the toes, you reach for the sky. And then exhale with a nice flat back to the earth. Generous bend in the knees here. Inhale for that halfway lift, offer that heart up. Exhale all the way back down. Hands can tent on the mat. You're gonna step back with that left foot and then that right option for your very last vinyasa flow of class. Whatever your body would like to do, we're all gonna meet in child's pose whenever you're ready. In this child's pose, maybe we bring our hands back behind the body, or they come on top, on back of the neck. But I just want you to relax wherever you're at. And I'm gonna adjust the camera just a little bit. And I want you to breathe. Surprise, surprise, right? But I want you especially to come back to your breath as it is right now. And I want you to try to lengthen it out. Deepen the inhales, lengthen the exhales. But I don't want you to think that you have to come back to what your breath felt like at the beginning of class, or even the last time we were in child's pose. I want you to let your breath do what it wants to do right now. I want you to come back to that intention if you set one. Draw a little bit more energy, a little bit more focus from it. Maybe even reflect on why you picked that intention, why it spoke to you. But our cool down, and especially our Shavasana, are where our bodies are going to begin to thank us for the work we've done for it today. So when you're ready to start your Shavasana, just going to inhale up towards that tabletop position. And then however is most comfortable for you to come to a seated position on your mat. That's where we're headed next. And then you're going to plant both feet on the mat in front of you. The knees face up towards the sky like mountains. And I want you to heel toe that right foot so it's a little bit wider than your mat. And then you're just going to let that right heel come out to the side. And then that left foot is going to plant on the inside of that right quad, flexing through both feet here. And then I want you to inhale up. That spine grows tall. Beautiful. On your next exhale, I want you to look at that foot, turn to look at it. And you're just going to tiptoe to walk your body out over top of the leg. It's okay if there's a ridge between your knee and the ground. And I want you to pause where your body wants to pause. And from there, maybe you inhale halfway up still, and exhale, sink back down to that pause spot, or maybe a millimeter closer to the ground. And maybe we stay here. Maybe this is enough. Or maybe that right hand comes very gently to the outside of that right foot, the side that has the pinky toe. And we open those shoulders up towards the sky. So that left hand can come to rest on that left thigh, or it can even stretch overhead, as if we were going to come down and tap our right toe. But we're trying to keep our shoulders stacked and open up to the side. Beautiful. And I want you to relax that hand that's gripping that right foot. Remind the body to relax into the stretch. And on your next exhale, if our hand is floating overhead, we're going to bring it back around to the inside of that left foot. And we're going to close the shoulders back down towards the leg. And then on your inhale, just as slowly as you get into it, you can walk the hands back up the body. Maybe you bring the arms back behind the body. You open that heart up towards the sky. And then keeping your legs exactly where they're at. Maybe that right hand comes off the mat and you scoop the air and you come onto that knee and that right foot. So the feet stay exactly where they're at. You just propel towards the back of your mat and then exhale, sink back down onto it. Beautiful. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So I want you to plant your feet on the mat, knees facing up towards the ceiling. Heel toe that left foot, widen the mat with distance, and let the leg extend long. I want that right foot to plant on the inside of the left quad. And you're going to inhale again to find that length in the spine. And then I want you to turn to look at that left leg. And you're very gently going to begin to tiptoe your fingertips towards that left foot. The body is not as symmetrical as we'd like to think. So maybe on this side, it feels very different than the other side. Maybe we're here on this side and we're here on the other side. Whatever works for this side of the body is where I want you to be. And you can inhale halfway out and exhale. See if the body wants to sink just a millimeter closer to the ground. And then same option on this side. We can stay here, or we can reach that left hand out for either the outside of that left foot, or maybe that calf, or up here near the knee. And we stack those shoulders open. So that right hand can rest on the right thigh, or we can inhale that right hand over top. Almost like we're gonna touch that left big toe. Wherever you're at, I now want you to relax that hand, that left hand. Relax the body in this stretch. If our arms are stacked on an exhale, let's bring that right hand down and we're gonna scoop it around towards the inside of that left foot. So we've closed the shoulders back down towards the leg. On your inhale, you're gonna tiptoe those fingertips back up the body. And we can bring the hands back behind the body, open that heart up, just like we did on the other side. And maybe you take that left hand and you scoop that air up and around and point towards the top of your mat. And then exhale back down. Beautiful. And then you're gonna plant both feet on your mat, knees facing up towards the ceiling. Make sure there's enough room to lay back down behind you. You're gonna inhale to find that length in the spine first. And then exhale, lean back until our arms are almost straight. And then right hand comes off, the left hand comes off. And for a count of 7, we're all gonna lay back down together, okay? So for 7, 6, 5, 4, pause. Smile, breathe, 3, 2, 1, all the way back down. Hug those knees in towards the chest for me. I'm gonna adjust the camera again. You can rock side to side here or along the length of your spine, whatever feels good to you. And maybe you reach on the inside of the knees for the outside of the feet and you open up towards your happy baby. And you can rock side to side here. It looks like we're stamping our feet against the ceiling. Maybe even guide the soles of your feet together in a kind of a Supta Baddha Konasana here. Whatever you'd like. And then releasing the feet, holding onto the knees again. Let's draw some circles on the ceiling with our knees. So circling to the right first, drawing big circles on the ceiling. 2 more times around. Before I want you to switch and draw circles to the left. Giving that lower back a nice massage. And then releasing both feet down towards the mat, our knees face up towards the sky. I want you to cross that right foot over top of the left leg. That right foot is flexed and it's gonna stay right there on top of the left quad. Maybe we're here, maybe we reach underneath the crossed legs for the back of that left thigh and we hug the legs in towards the chest. This is equivalent to our pigeon pose that we find sometimes in yoga. So if pigeon has ever felt inaccessible to you on a particular day, you can try, this is what we call figure 4, and it's usually a little more accessible. Don't abandon your breath here. On your inhale, release the legs a little bit. On your exhale, see if you can pull the stretch a little bit closer with the space you've created, always respecting your body's boundaries. Two more breaths here. On that second exhale, I want you to let that left foot come back down towards the mat. And then we're gonna uncross the right and plant it on the mat as well. Maybe you windshield wiper the knees down to the sides of the mat. And then coming back to stillness in the center, you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So you're gonna plant that right foot where it's at, cross the left leg over top of the right, flex through that left foot, and then reaching underneath the crossed leg for the back of that right thigh, you can hug the legs in towards the body. And again, maybe you notice that one side you wanted to hug the legs closer and the other side you want to keep them a little bit further away from the body. That's just where your body wants to be today. That's awesome. Take the time to notice that. 3 more breath cycles here. On that third exhale, flip that foot, come back down towards the mat. We'll uncross that left leg, plant it on the mat as well. And again, maybe you windshield wiper the knees from side to side. See how much time we got left. Perfect. And then when you're ready, inhale, hug those knees in towards the chest. One last time. Exhale, let that left leg grow long on your mat. Exhale, let the right leg do the same. The toes can come away from each other. The hands can come to the sides of the body. We like to say the palms can face up to collect energy or can face down to find grounding. Whatever your body needs today. And maybe you close your eyes or you find a soft gaze on something on the ceiling or in the sky. And you're just gonna let the body relax completely. You're gonna trust your mat, sink into it. Very gently beginning to bring some awareness back to the body. Wiggling the fingers and the toes. Making small circles with the wrists and the ankles. Inhaling those arms overhead and pointing the toes, taking a full body stretch like you're just getting out of bed for the first time today. And very gently rolling to your right side, using your bicep as a cushion for your head. Maybe the eyes stay closed, or you find a soft gaze. And for the last time all together, we reflect on those intentions we might have set, letting them go if they no longer serve us, holding them in if we wish to carry them with us. And when you're ready, on an exhale, you're going to press into that left palm and push yourself back up to a seated position at the top of your mat where we're going to end class together. Once we're here, let's inhale those arms overhead, palms to touch. We're going to pull them down the midline and pause at the forehead, maybe think kind thoughts. We're going to pause at the lips, maybe speak kind words, and we're going to pause finally at the heart. Maybe have kind intentions to ourselves and to those around us. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice with me today. May you all be happy. May you be safe and healthy. May you walk this earth with peace and at ease, and may you find the space to help others along the way. Namaste, yogi. Alrighty. I'm going to pause this recording.